told you about the showdown brewing on Long Island, but really representing the whole country. It's happening in New York at my high school. The Massapequa School District is fighting to keep its beloved name, the Chiefs, as it's been through the 1950s. This comes after New York State moved to ban Native American imagery in public schools. Now, district leaders are turning to former President Trump and asking him to sign an executive order to override the state. The battle over tradition, identity, and government overreach is just heating up over and over again, and the president is up for the challenge. And the woman leading the charge for the administration is Education Secretary Linda McMahon. Madam Secretary, thanks so much for joining us. Can you update us on why this fight is so important to you and the administration? Because I know why it's important to me.
Well, Brian, and thank you very much, and I thoroughly enjoyed my visit of your old high school as well, and saw the passion. I mean, that day that I was out there, we had chiefs from some of the surrounding areas. I bet we had 200 people to show up in support, and so we thoroughly investigated. When I say we, the Office of Civil Rights at the Department of Education thoroughly investigated what was going on in Massapequa and found them to be in violation of Title VI because they looked at, the chiefs, they looked at other Indian names, primarily the chiefs, but they don't look at, the other nationalities. We have the Scottish Highlanders, we have others. They don't go after them. They're only going after the Native Americans, and so that's a violation of civil rights. We gave them an opportunity to resolve it, a 10-day opportunity, which is mandatory for us. Their response was definitely no. So since they were in violation, we have turned it over to the Office of Civil Rights, and as of now, they are continuing to use the chiefs while this pending with the Department of Justice.
So while they wait and see if they do it, what they're saying is if you don't change your name, we're going to stop giving you state funds, but they can't do that while the investigation's happening. They're asking for an executive order. Will that be necessary? Are you considering it?
Well, the president, I know, is considering it. I can't speak for him, nor would I want to get out in front of him, but I'll tell you, he is really hot on this issue because he thinks it's so incredibly unfair.
So I want to go to a big success story. And when we saw the anti-Semitism raging on college campuses before Donald Trump had won the election and taken over, I was outraged, and I don't think enough people were. But when the president took over and it began to be a problem again, he cracked down, and you cracked down. And Columbia was the first, I think Harvard was the second, and he said this will stop or else you're going to lose your federal funding. Well, you finally reached a settlement when it comes to Columbia, and it's detailed, but it includes a $220 million essentially fine. And it's going to be a lot of promises from the school to look out for anti-Semitism, this anti-Semitic behavior, take the masks off the students, and get these protests under control. What else can you tell us about this deal, and what other higher institutions get from this?
Well, I can tell you, Brian, you're right about the president. He also campaigned on this, that he was not going to allow anti-Semitism to be on campuses the way it was. And so when he came in, we started looking at this right away. I'm pleased with the deal that we reached with Columbia. It does involve the fine. It does involve getting rid of all DEI policies. And that's incredibly important. It also has monitors, both at the school and at the Department of Justice, to make sure that Columbia is in compliance with the laws. We have to make sure, and they've agreed that they are going to use merit as the basis of their student admissions as well as their hiring policies. They're going to look at international students who are coming on campus and what their reasons are for wanting to study in the United States. Because we know that when we had a lot of these policies that were allowed to ferment, that's when, the rioting broke out, the anti-Semitism broke out, and Jewish students need to feel safe on campuses. All students need to feel safe to go to class on campus.
The
anti-Americanism, and that wasn't going anywhere.
And the anti-Americanism's got to stop within these Middle Eastern programs. And the other thing is, Harvard should take a page from this settlement, because they're not going to win, even if this judge rules against you initially. And hopefully these other higher institutions, many of which you're taking on directly, will understand you guys are not kidding around. I also want to talk about something else important. Go ahead.
I'll just add this one thing. If a university is accepting federal funding, then they have to know that funding can be taken away. It's not a right or a privilege It is funds that are delegated to these universities, but they must comply with the law.
Harvard's not caving, are they?
The lawsuit is ongoing. We are still at the table talking with Harvard. We hope the Columbia deal will be a template not only for Harvard, but for other universities around the country. And I think that it's going to be.
Great. Something else that we have in common, we both were really impressed with this very unique school called the Schoolhouse on Long Island. And possibly it's a template for other elementary schools to maybe move past old standards and do something new in terms of effectiveness. What should everyone know from the Schoolhouse that you picked up when you expanded your visit? You went from Massapequa to Suffolk County, over to Northport.
Well, it was really an amazing school. I mean, John and Mimosa, the husband and wife team who run that, were just incredible with the devotion. And they built this. I mean, this was money that they put into it. So it gets back to the notion of a one-room school. It's clearly much more than a one-room school. But what it shows is hands-on learning. And it shows how students progress at their own pace. They're not sitting in one class lined up row by row. They're progressing at their own pace. And when they master, one particular problem, then they go on to the next at the next level. And I think the other thing that impressed me is that students who are in different classes, who may be a little older than the grade below them, if they've mastered a subject, then they're also used as tutors for the students that are underneath. And so you have this constant grouping of kids that are working together to sort through problems. And it's just an amazing system. You don't hear, there's no disruption in the class. Kids are busy, they're focused on what they're doing. It was such an impressive school. I'd like to see it used as a model in many schools around the country.
I think they are. They're going to move it to at least 5 different states now, so it's accelerating. If we want to catch up to the rest of the world, this is the type of thing we need with your leadership too. So I have a quick suggestion. Is there any way you could take that same innovative belief that you have and ability to implement and start standardizing American history classes? As much as you want to give power to the states, and I'm really concerned that we're forgetting about American history, especially when you come up on year 250. And while you're at it, if you could bring shop back to these classes, I'm talking about metal shop, wood shop, auto mechanics, Mike Rowe would be happy and our country would be better off. Is that possible, either one of those things?
Well, the Department of Education does not implement curriculum. We don't design curriculum, we don't hire teachers, we don't buy books. However, what we are doing, I've signed a memo of understanding with the Department of Labor, and I'm working very closely with Lori Chavez DeRaymer, the Secretary of Labor, because all of these workforce development projects that you're talking about, I believe start in K through 12 and then go into higher education. We have to have pathways. Shop would be included, technology would be included, a lot of the skill-based learning that's hands-on. I'm visiting more and more schools that are doing that. So as we take those best practices and offer them to different states and say, look what this state is doing, provide them with toolkits to say, oh, we can take part of this and put it into our curriculum, we're going to see more and more of that happen across the country. That's my goal.